It's 2025. Despite having a great economy, most of us are feeling the pressure of job cuts and wild inflation. We need what's left of our discretionary spending to go a lot further. After comparing every major board in the $600 class, the Veymax Merlin stands alone at the top. This is the board that will take your hard-earned dollars the furthest. There aren't a lot of belt drive motor boards in the $600 range, mainly because it's hard to keep costs down in this competitive budget space. That's why budget electric skateboards are mostly equipped with cheaper and weaker hub motor boards. Just a year ago, I would have been hard-pressed to find a decent belt drive board at the $600 mark, but that's not the case anymore. Even with Meepo, Tiny, Walgo, and X-Way all having launched a board in the $600 space, I'm here to tell you why the Veymax is the best choice objectively with some hard numbers. Batteries are usually the most expensive part of the electric skateboard. When the price of a board is low, two things usually happen. One, the manufacturer uses cheap, no-name cells, which don't perform well over the entire discharge cycle and are not as safe as well-built name brands. Two, the manufacturer puts fewer batteries in the board, giving it less range. This is determined by looking at the watt hours or amp hours of battery capacity. The Veymax Merlin contains the biggest battery in its class at 432 watt hours or 10 amp hours, compared to other $600 boards in this class which only have 345 watt hours. That's a 20% decrease in battery capacity. But what about the quality of these batteries? The Veymax Merlin is also equipped with high-quality Samsung 50S cells, which are usually only found on premium boards over $1,000. If you look at the specifications of other boards, they don't even mention what type of cells are being used. While not always the case, most of the time, that's a telltale sign of lower quality batteries being used. Of those that do mention cell types, such as the Tiny Ultra, the EV40P is used. The EV40P has a lower discharge rate and delivers less under heavy load compared to the Samsung 50S. Known for its higher discharge rate at a relatively low price point, the Samsung 50S pretty much became the poster boy for most electric skateboard batteries in 2025. A good board doesn't just need good batteries, it also needs motors powerful enough to launch the rider forward at an acceptable rate. The motors on the Veymax Merlin are 1400 watt peak power BLDC motors. These certainly do feel much punchier than entry-level boards, but are still a bit off from premium, high-power boards found in the $900 plus category.
Cool. Now let's get the carving test started. So far, I would say using the riptide bushings has changed the characteristics a lot, quite a bit. When I'm standing still, when I'm doing this thing, wiggle back and forth, I can really hear the motors jitter a little bit. I don't know if you can actually see it as well. It's actually jittering, but it's fine. I don't think it affects performance in any way. Okay, yeah, I did try the stock bushings. The stock bushings are really bad, to the point where I'm like, don't even bother with the 95A bushings. Just come out and use the riptide bushings. I think this is one of the boards where you need to upgrade the bushings immediately. The included 95A is just pretty terrible. I mean, it's good if you want to go in a straight line and do nothing else, but if you want to turn, if you want to go anywhere that requires going to your left or right, you might want to change the bushings. Okay, yeah. These reverse kimpin trucks with the reverse kimpin, oh man, that's a lot of salt on the ground. Yeah, we were expecting snow a couple days ago, so I guess the church parking lot really stepped up their salt game. And okay, that's a lot of salt. I'm gonna make a turn. Pretty good turns. Let's do some short wiggles. Oh, this is good. Very responsive. Not the most stable, but pretty responsive. Now let's upgrade to a wider carve. This is about the carve that you can do on the sidewalk. Whoa. Okay, almost tripped. Sometimes it's just hard to do a lot of carves with a GoPro stick in my hand, but this is fine. Yeah, very easy, especially that we're using riptide bushings. Riptide just makes any board feel good, right? But if you have a great board with great turning capabilities, the riptide is just going to really enhance the turning and the carving. Yeah, this board feels very responsive, very snappy. You go left and right, left and right. If I were a beginner, I would take out $100 more from the price of an entry-level board and put it towards this one, because you get a lot more range out of this and you get a lot more power, so you don't get bored of your entry-level board in like the first month or so. Because I know I got bored of my entry-level board really quickly and I had to upgrade. These wheels feel pretty good as well. Right now it's the middle of the winter, the ground is frozen. It's hard to warm up the wheels, so I don't want to do too much crazy slides or carves, because the ground is just going to be unpredictable, and especially in the shadows there might be like black ice and stuff. So but doing moderate amount of carving, you know, just having fun, being chill, I think it's pretty good. What I'm going to do now is to use this thing, the T-tool, and then tighten up the bushings. Is going to do an acceleration test. I'd rather have the bushings be pretty tight. Three turns, 3 half turns in the front, 4 half turns in the rear. So GPS is on, so let's do some accelerations. Change the Pro mode, we're at 90% battery. Okay, it's not bad. Definitely a lot stronger than a regular entry-level board, but also not quite as fast as a $1,000 board. But you know, this is like $600 with promo code, so it's not bad. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. It's pretty smooth. It's not jerky at all. My kind of, so my commentary on this is Ling has a problem where when you accelerate really fast, say you reach a speed that you want to stop, and you release your throttle, it would actually jerk you forward. The board would go a little bit faster before it completely jerks to a stop. It's really jarring, especially when you're going fast, especially when you want to slow down. It does that, but the Ling ESC on this board is actually super smooth. The prior problems that I had with all of the things that I just said is not present on this board. So I would just say, if someone would have told me that, hey, this is actually a hobby wing ESC, I probably would have believed them. I would say like, this behaves really smoothly like a hobby wing ESC. It's known for its stability and it's known for its predictability. Yeah, so it just smooth all around. And yet, when you push the throttle all the way down, it gives you that power forward. This board has Samsung 50S batteries. If you look at any of the competitors in the 600 class, no one has Samsung 50S batteries. They all have some no-name Li-Shan batteries or no-name stuff. If you don't believe me, go to any of the $600 class that you can find. Go to the batteries. They either don't tell you what the batteries are, or they tell you some obscure no-name battery name. Even if you ask them, it's not going to be Samsung 50S. Because in this industry, if you have put Samsung 50S batteries in your skateboard, you want to advertise it, and they don't. Veymax does, because they put quality stuff into the skateboard. Hey, all right, cool. So now we're going to be doing a braking test. I'm actually more scared of braking tests than acceleration tests, just because braking can be so unpredictable from time to time. Slow stop. Okay. These are 2 light stops, so it gently goes into braking and then it kicks in pretty hard towards the end, but it doesn't lock your board, so you don't have to worry about, sliding. I think I'm on a very slight decline and you can see the board is actually moving backwards. I have my thumb on the throttle the entire time. Okay, finally now it's locked in. So now, once it's locked in, you want to push it. It doesn't budge. I mean, if you really push it, it budges a little bit. So this is great. Function with the Ling ESCs is that it just locks. So if you add a stop sign at a stoplight, you'll be sure that your board won't roll forward. It kind of locks into this place. So that's pretty good. Or if you're on a slope. Let's go for a faster brake and see how that goes. Well, loose belts. I think you can hear that. That's definitely loose belts. I don't want to brake too hard here because there's salt all over the road. Okay, I can definitely hear and feel the wheels slide a little bit when you hard brake like that, but it's not as pronounced. The wheels are not completely locked out. They still kind of they spin a little bit. I think it's mostly due to the salt on the road, so instead of completely being locked out, it actually spins a little bit. I would say the brake is pretty hard. It's pretty useful. It's when you need to stop, when you have an emergency, a car pulls in front of you, you need to stop. I would say even in the current state, it's not bad, but I would probably go back and tighten up the belts a little bit more. Just move the motor forward a little bit and that should be fine. But in its current state, even with the few belt slides, it's not bad. It's pretty good. Cool, let's go for a hill test. Cool, all right. I don't know if you can see it, but this is actually a pretty steep hill. It is on Pro mode, so it's the fastest. And we have about 80% battery. So let's go. I am actually flooring it. This is the fastest, in the fastest mode, going uphill. $19 miles per hour. I wish it'd go a little bit faster, but that was a pretty steep hill actually.
The trucks are 8-inch 45-degree trucks made out of A356 aluminum alloy. A356 is primarily used for cast parts like engine components, wheels, and complex shapes. A 356 has a slightly lower tensile strength than 6061 when comparing similar heat treatments. The Veymax Merlin comes equipped with a Lingyi ESC 8.0. In earlier generations, Lingyi's ESCs had a reputation for abrupt acceleration and braking. Thankfully, the version on the Merlin is much smoother, making accelerations and braking feel seamless. Also, these newer ESCs have much higher quality in terms of connection, making it much less likely for riders to experience a disconnect. Comfort on the Merlin stems from 2 key factors: its moderate deck flex and its 90mm stock polyurethane wheels with a 78A durometer. For many riders, these wheels strike a nice balance between grip and shock absorption, but leaning more on the cushion side. If you're looking for even more cushioning over rough roads or cracks, Veymax offers optional 105mm cozy wheels, which are pretty much mad wheel clones. Upgrading to these larger wheels can smooth out bumpy terrain and give you a bit more ground clearance, at the slight expense of some range and agility. Personally, I love the modern dark design with some slight contrast. The ESC housing now adds the signature design that is distinctly Veymax in style, as well as functional metal fins to cool down the ESC so that it doesn't get overheated during operations. The rest of the board is dark gray in color with a slight dab of blue. While the board has a curved shape, the drawings and patterns are distinctively angular. Veymax thoughtfully includes Bashguards at both ends of the deck. They help protect the nose and tail, so if the board slams into a wall, the actual deck remains safeguarded. The Bashguards also enable you to safely hold the board vertically while one end rests on the ground. Even without a steep discount, the Merlin remains one of the better deals in its category, considering its 12S battery, reliable dual belt motors, and sturdy construction. With my discount code that will bring the price down to $616, it becomes a no-brainer for anyone seeking a well-rounded, boosted-style electric skateboard. Despite being labeled a budget board, the Merlin's specs match or surpass those of pricier competitors, giving it one of the best cost-to-performance ratios on the market. Veymax has generally received positive feedback regarding customer support, and from my experience of lurking in e-skate communities, I haven't heard a single bad thing about their customer service. This level of service gives you added peace of mind, which is especially important if you're newer to the e-skate scene and want to ensure you have someone to reach out to. Weighing at 18.9 pounds, the Merlin is not the lightest short-range commuter board out there, but it's still plenty manageable for most riders. But it's definitely the most powerful board under 19 pounds, as most boards in this weight range are either hub motors or have weaker motors. You can pick it up by the trucks for brief carries or toss it under a desk without too much strain. The problem with beginner motors is that riders grow out of them quickly, but I believe since the Merlin is a lot more powerful than a beginner board, it will last you much longer. Overall, the Veymax Merlin strikes a satisfying balance between performance, comfort, and cost. Its smooth, lingy ESC, moderate deck flex, biggest battery in its class, best battery quality in its class, and 2800 watt total motor output and soft grippy wheel upgrades cater to riders who want a versatile board they can grab for everyday use without breaking the bank or their backs. With thoughtful inclusions like Bashguards, a straightforward design, and solid customer support, the Merlin stands out as a reliable, budget-friendly electric skateboard option.